Hey y'all, it's Stephen Van Kampen-Lewis. It is the middle of February and I have some Cloweasias in bloom that I want to share with you. I'm looking over here at them right now and thinking about why one of them did pretty well with its bloom and the other two, were kind of meager. So I want to chat a little bit about that, and also to let you know that for those of you who saw, last week's video or who were paying attention to Texas weather, we made it through and all's well. The greenhouse didn't get that cold and all the plants are just fine. So I'm happy for that. And as this month wraps up and closes out, the sort of scariest month for orchid growers, at least in this part of the world, I think the worst of it is probably behind us. Once we get to the middle of February, we can kind of see the forecast for the next 10 days and figure out what, really the harsh weather's over for us. So in the middle of March is when I start looking to get my orchids back outside full time. And that usually happens in early April, but I'm watching the forecast in March to see which of my cool tolerant species I can start kicking out a little early. I've got a Cymbidium, the Laelia purpuratas can go out early. I've got a Dendrobium speciosum that I can kick out a little early. So I'll move those guys out a little early, and then early to mid-April is when the rest of the actual true tropical warmth-loving part of the collection really gets outside. So this time of year is exciting for us, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to look at these Cloweasias. So let me turn the camera around and show you those. All right, that's not Clowesia, but that's a little bit of snow left over. I'm kind of surprised that we still have some laying around, so this must be the shady part of my backyard. And you can see this is a 2,500 gallon rainwater catchment, and this is what I use to water my orchids. And there's one of the 10,000 gallon tanks that we use for rainwater collection on the house. And here are the Cloweasias. So you can see 3 of them here, all in bloom. All of them, I'd say, halfway to 3/4 of the way open. But this one is my favorite. This one is Clowesia Grace Dunn. And it is such a nice plant, absolutely beautiful. And one of the cool things about this, or at least one of the things that you need to anticipate if you're growing this, is that the spikes are pendant. They come down, and if they bump into the ground or a bench, then they'll start to kind of curve around. Sometimes they come over the top of other bulbs, and ideally what you want is to have that nice sort of cascading effect for each spike that kind of comes down like this and looks really, really nice. But it's one of the most intensely fragrant orchids, I think, that are out there. This is sort of right up there with Cattleya walkeriana or some of the Stanhopias, or I don't know, think of your favorite fragrant orchid, and this probably matches it in terms of intensity. It's got sort of a spicy pine scent to it, I would say. And the flowers themselves are just beautiful. I absolutely love this particular clone. Got those really nice stripes. There you can see the dark stripes there in the throat. And then we have the stripes, the darker stripes kind of coming out of the throat, and then they turn green on the petals and sepals there, and then we have these great shades of pink, and of course that the green pollen cap there on a lot of them. Get this one back in the sun here and check out some of the buds. And these are pretty long-lived flowers. They'll last 3 to 4 weeks probably, and are fragrant throughout that whole period. The plant itself is not super huge. You can see this is the biggest bulb right here. Let's get this? Nah, we'll leave that up there. So this is a large plant, and I'll chop this up for sure. This one is an even larger plant. This is Clowesia Rebecca's Daughter, which is Rebecca Northern by Varsavixii by Grace Dunn. And I actually got this from Gareth Wills some time ago. I don't really understand why I got such a measly bloom on this one. You can see the flowers are attractive, similarly intensely fragrant to the Grace Dunn. Got this cool little series of keels here on the lip. And then we still have the fimbriation on the side of the lip here. And then, of course, we get the really nice little stripes. But what baffles me is, why did I get... I mean, this plant is huge. Like, look at these bulbs. This plant should have had cascading spikes all around it. And I don't know why I didn't get that this year. I've had that in previous years. But, I don't know, sometimes there's just something going on that I don't really understand. And this one I think I'll chop up and sell entirely. I've mentioned in other videos that I'm moving, so I need to slim down my collection quite a bit. And this one is actually, name tag is faded, but it is Grace Dunn by Rebecca Northern, and that might actually be Rebecca's Daughter as well. Similarly huge plant, big giant bulbs. Getting a little skinny at this point, but, well, skinnier. This one could go for probably another 6 months without water and be just fine. It'd be dehydrated looking, but ultimately it would be okay. This is another one that I would expect to have a lot more flowers, and I just don't. Most of the time when I come to y'all with a problem or something that's not quite right, I usually have a suggestion of what I did wrong and how y'all can maybe avoid doing a similar mistake. But this one, I don't understand why these two are just not putting out tons of blooms. But it is what it is, and I enjoy what I got. And like I said, this one is pleasantly fragrant as well, just in the same way that the other ones are, the other Cloweasias are. And I think I'll chop this one up and sell it as well. But really, check out those stripes. Again, look at the keel on the lip here. This one has a lot more fimbriations, and then there's all those lines there, and these sort of delicate tones of pink and green all kind of swirling together, and looks really nice inside in the sunlight here. And of course, these guys are well known for their aerial roots. Of course, the aerial roots in nature are most likely designed to capture. So what they'll do is they'll go straight up, and as leaf litter falls down, the leaf litter will get caught in those aerial roots and decay and provide a fertilizer source for the plant. In fact, you can see that happening with those oak leaves right there. Let me see if I can turn this around for a better view of the random oak leaves that have been stuck there for quite a while. Showing that, these aerial roots, at least in part, are working. I think I see a new growth perhaps buried in there. Or it's just the green of the bulb. I'm not sure. That is probably where a new growth will poke out. So, these guys are getting to the point where, let me see if I can find one on here. Getting to the point where they're thinking about growing. I don't see any such growths on this particular plant, nor on this one quite yet. Excuse me, I could be wrong. That kind of looks like, I don't know. I don't know if it's a growth or just part of the spike, but regardless, while I'm here, that's a great view. So I'm going to end the video looking at my favorite of the three. And luckily, this happens to be the most floriferous of the three. It's always nice when your favorite of a group is relatively free-flowering and easy to grow and bloom, as this Clowesia Grace Dunn clearly is. See ya.